Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Sarah's LinkedIn Live Lounge. And I'm very excited this week. I do have a croaky throat, I will warn you. But I'm very excited because this week I have got Fiona Lambert actually on the purple sofa
in person. I didn't get the memo to wear orange or purple though. I'm very upset, but at least I'm, colourful.
So, I'm so glad you didn't turn up wearing green.
Oh, Fiona, would I have been invisible?
Yeah, I don't even invisible because I don't have a green screen. But green, just isn't my colour. Okay. So I'm so glad.
Glad you approve of pink.
Definitely approve of pink.
Do you want to explain the crowns, by the way?
Oh, I should explain the crowns.
Please do.
So the crowns. Let me go to the chat and see who's here. So it always takes a while to catch up. So the crowns are courtesy of Kevin D. Turner, and he knows that I have to say that. I can't say his name in an English accent because he's from Texas. He says Turner. Kevin D. Turner called. What did he say? I was the queen of the purple sofa, and Fiona Lambert, you are the princess.
Princess, exactly. Yes, thank you. I did want people to understand I don't normally wear a tiara. This is just in support of Kevin D. Turner.
Thank you. How do you feel about being princess?
I think I might keep it on if that's all right.
You may. Yeah. You may. Yeah, you can keep that up the whole way through. I'm going to take mine off. I'm going to keep it on for a bit because it's quite jolly.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Good queen outfit. I'm just going to have a little pause here. Kim Willis has joined us. Thank you, Kim. Kim's loving the crowns.
Good.
So that's good. We like that.
I'm glad we've got people.
I'm glad somebody likes our sense of humour. On a more serious note, should we get serious? Fiona Lambert, we met, not that long ago, in person in London at Homegrown Club. And I was introduced to you by Izzy at Homegrown, who introduced you as the lady that she climbed Kilimanjaro.
Indeed, yes.
And we got chatting, and you told me all kinds of things about you, namely that you are, I'm going to have to say it, you are 60.
61 now, actually.
61
just turned 61.
And in your 60th year, you not only climbed Kilimanjaro, you also had pole dancing lessons.
Correct.
And you have written a book, which we're only allowed to talk about a little bit because it's not out yet. I don't really know where to start.
Well, it was interesting. I knew I was turning 60, obviously, and it made me think about the fact that I'd never felt comfortable saying my age. And I thought, because I thought maybe people would judge me. And I have, maybe in my own head, you have this perception that 60 is, you're on this sort of glide path to retirement. And so, no, that was coming. I thought, actually what I'm going to do is get into my best shape, the fittest I can be, set myself a whole bunch of challenges that prove that it's never too late and you're never too old to do these things. And actually, in that list of things to do, climbing Kilimanjaro wasn't on there, and writing a book wasn't on there, and they both ended up things I did in my my 60th year. So hopefully I am out there as the poster girl for going, actually, 60 definitely isn't the end of anything. I wanted to make it the beginning.
Brilliant. I love that. And in fact, I know we haven't talked about this, but there is a theory that I've been hearing about women have a trimester, so they have 3 parts to their lives. And the first part is they're growing up and trying to work out who they are, what on earth is going on, and the hormones are all over the place, which is just awful. The second period of their lives is when they're carers and they're looking after their partners, they're looking after their children, and that's a big part of what they do. And then when those responsibilities have gone, the kids have grown up, the partner can look after themselves or perhaps is no longer around, that's when life begins.
I think it is incredibly liberating. I think you have got probably more confidence, you're more comfortable in your own skin. And if you see it as a beginning rather than an end, I think, the world is your oyster. I find it really frustrating, and I have actually put out on LinkedIn that I find it incredible that 23% of the population are over 60, 27% of the spend is with the over 60s, and yet only 4% of marketing is done on over 60s. And as you said, actually, we've got the money to spend, we've got the time to spend it. You know, we're more confident about what we want to do. I do think it's a huge, you know, a huge gap. And, you know, being an advocate for, you know, going out and showing people actually there's so much life to be lived over 60, hopefully means that actually the marketing world will wake up and smell the coffee on that.
Absolutely. And you know, I'm actually going to take this off. That's so comfortable.
I might mess with Molly. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to go for it. I think my tiara has definitely slipped now. So
yes. Well, no, it didn't slip. You took it off.
I took it off.
It didn't slip at all. Yeah. Now I've slightly lost my train of thought. Poster girl, that was the phrase that you used. And you are becoming, or you are a poster girl for the 60s woman. How has that all evolved? How has it happened?
Goodness me. Well, again, very unexpected. I had a personal challenge about getting really fit at 60. And the PT that trains me, he has a journalist that works with the Times. And before I knew it, the Times covered my fitness regime and the transformation I'd done in the 3 months leading up to my 60th birthday. And before I knew it, that went viral. And actually, interestingly, having had a long career in retail, I posted about it on LinkedIn. And I had a link to the article, and I'm absolutely convinced that is why it went viral. Actually, it was using LinkedIn, because I think people were actually very nosy about what I was up to. So, and before I knew it, I became sort of on the Apple News feed as one of those trending stories. So I had lots of, particularly women, I'm going to say, who are 45, 50 up, actually look at me and saying, well, actually, it isn't too late and I'm not too old. And, you know, it's relatable because I'm a working woman. It's not someone, I haven't had a fitness regime all my life. You know, I've been stunned by the lovely messages I've had from people who are going, you know, that, you know, they want help, or they want advice, or they just want reassurance that it, you know, actually you can have a go. You can start anywhere. It doesn't have to be going to the gym. You know, on social media, I do these kitchen workouts just to prove that actually, you know, you can have no space and no weights and no gym kit actually, but you know, you can do stuff in your kitchen, and it is just going, just have a go. It's not too late.
Brilliant. I love that. So maybe, so you talked about women not wanting to disclose their age, which is something I don't do. And maybe one day I will, because it's because of the judgment. And that's what I think holds a lot of women back, is the fact that they will get judged for being old.
Yes.
And they won't get those opportunities, and they won't get the chances. But actually, they're not getting them now anyway, are they?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I do a lot of mentoring and coaching and trying to support women in business. Often women are their own biggest barriers to it, though. You know, there's actually stats and science behind it that actually for a woman and a man are looking at the same job opportunity, a woman will focus on the bits she can't do, and a man will not focus on the bits he can't do. And often I think that is one of the barriers to women actually challenging themselves and progressing themselves, is this sort of self-doubt, and rather than actually focusing on what they're brilliant at, focusing on the bits that they can't. So, you know, one of the big things I'm trying to do, you know, in anything I do as well, in supporting women, is actually go, do you know, you've got superpowers, go out, celebrate those. You can always learn the other things or turn to other people for support on the other things. But, you know, have this confidence in yourself, and try and build that, you know, whether it's personally or professionally.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing that I see is that women don't know their own skills and their own talents. And they say, well, I'm not qualified to do that. But actually, once you've raised a child or two, you're pretty much qualified to do anything. Negotiation, patience, time management, all of those things that I know I learned as a mother, you know, and I had 3, so you know, joy of choice. And I know those are the skills that women learn, but they don't see them as skills that they can transfer into the workplace.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I do think there's so much opportunity now to learn online anyway. So if you've any, whether it's if you've got any gaps that you think, well, actually, I feel more confident if I had that. I've studied life coaching online. I've studied PT training online now. So I think you do have all of those skills. You're absolutely right. If you've got gaps, you're always going to find somebody in any business as well that can help you support the gaps. But I think finding ways to learn online is fantastic as well, just to to support yourself and broaden your experience if that's what you want to build your own confidence.
Absolutely, there is so much out there, but people just don't see it, do they? So tell me, and I know this is something that you have to be a bit guarded about talking about your book.
Very exciting.
So you were asked to write the book. You didn't. Somebody came to you.
Absolutely. Well, I think somebody saw the story behind my fitness transformation, but it wasn't just about fitness. It was just about positivity as well, and that sort of saying you can do this, and setting new goals at 60. The publishers approached me to write a book. It was somebody that I used to work with in the past, so they knew me and they knew my background was actually fashion retail, not fitness. And they said, I think your attitude and what you've done is really inspiring, and we think that there's a book in you out there. And I'd never even contemplated writing a book, but I do love writing anyway. And I've always, whether it's done my own presentations or written my own articles on LinkedIn. I accepted that challenge actually.
Yes.
Because I'm very visual, and I've worked on collections from start to finish, I could picture what I wanted the book to look like. I've probably been a right pain to work with, because I had a vision of what I wanted this book to look like, and I wanted it to be very engaging and very colourful, like us. It's really been really fun to do, and it does take longer than you think, actually, these things. So I've handed over the manuscript quite a while ago, but it's a bit like any business. It's a bit like a swan. You don't realize actually when you see the book on the shelf just how much paddling there's gone on underneath to get there. But the book launch is looking like August now, so I'm really looking forward to it. And actually what it brings, it's a very nice stage in life as well, that I'm just waiting to see what happens actually now, rather than sort of pushing. And it's quite nice to actually sit back going, this is quite interesting. As I said, I didn't expect flying Kilimanjaro to write a book, so I'm just waiting with bated breath to see what my 61st year brings me.
That's so exciting. How brilliant. What a great way to embrace life.
It is. Well, I think I have actually gone out there actually and said my next bigger goal is to be on Strictly Come Dancing. So if anybody's watching and would like to do that, so I've just changed my ringtone to the theme tune for Strictly.
That's commitment.
It is commitment. Yes, it does make me jump every time, because I feel like a little bit of jiggle every time it comes on now. But I think having these sort of ambitions and goals, small or large, are great. And I'm a big believer in actually having those goals, but believing you can do it and picturing yourself doing it, and then it does happen.
Absolutely. I think the whole visualization, I think it works really well.
Yes.
And it helps drive you forward.
Have you done it?
Yes, I have visualizations.
Yes.
There's a photo over there.
Okay.
Actually, we don't have to talk about, but that's my visualization. That's something I want to achieve. And I will achieve it, because I am on my way to achieving it. But there's lots of things. And actually climbing Kilimanjaro is potentially one of the things that I'd like to pop on my bucket list.
Yeah.
Ever since I first discovered Kilimanjaro, or the name of it, when I started secondary school, and my first lesson, I never forget, slight aside here, folks, but my geography teacher said, today we're going to talk about Kilimanjaro. He said, it's my favorite word. Kilimanjaro. And he just said it over and over and over again. And then about 4 years later, I went on a expedition around Kenya, and I saw Kilimanjaro, and it's very beautiful. And so perhaps climbing it might be something I would like to do.
It's I won't pretend it's not one of the hardest things mentally and physically I've done, but And I can, when I came down and people, I could, knew people had done it more than once, I was thinking, absolutely crazy. But I can see why people would do it, actually. But I learned so much about myself, whether it was actually being much more independent. I mean, I'm very gregarious, very social, very much an extrovert, but you spend a lot of time in your own head, because you're either, we were in a one-man tent and you spend a lot of time there. When you're walking, when you say it's very beautiful, towards the top it's quite bleak and it's very rocky, so you are looking at your feet the whole time, rather than sort of necessarily chatting. So you're in your head. And certainly the last summit night, which is the tough time, which took 36 hours, you are using every bit of resilience and sort of mental strength as well to lift one foot and put it in front of the other. So I learned a lot about myself, whether it was this sort of self-reliance and resilience. I learned I could live in a one-man tent for 8 days rather than in a 5-star hotel, and travel with a lot of people I didn't really know. Survived without social media, any sort of internet, Wi-Fi messages for 8 days as well. So it was a really good experience to learn more about yourself.
Fantastic, amazing, yeah, wow.
You have to do it now.
I do.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Should I put my stake in the ground right here on my purple paper, my LinkedIn image? I'm going to do it. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I've said that.
Yeah, you have.
Wow.
Everybody's heard you.
Brilliant. Okay. So the whole thing, what I love about you is that you're very focused on female leaders and female empowerment and things like that. Do you see that the route is getting easier for women to get to the top?
I think, listen, in reality, I think diversity is really important, whether it's age. Actually, I mean, we've talked about adding diversity of age. So what I see is there are more boards where there is a mixture of male and female non-executive directors around the table. I think the rest of boards, the sort of chairman, CFO and CEO roles are more predominantly male, and there's not enough change happening there. And I do think a lot of that is actually women not necessarily going for those roles, as I discussed earlier. It is about putting yourself in the right place, networking, actually understanding what you bring to a business and feel really, really confident about that. And I think we have talked about personal brand. I think understanding your strengths and recognizing that actually to sit around the table, any of those people are surrounding themselves with people who complement their strengths, rather than you have to be necessarily a generalist. So I'm a big believer in working out working out and harnessing your personal brand, your personal strengths. There's lots of tools. I've done strengths finder tools, but you can use maps about what your achievements are and what your values are and what your purpose is to actually find that. But I often, when I've been coaching and mentoring people, say, what would you want your legacy to be? What 3 things would you want people to remember you for? And I think that boils down to what your strengths are. Where you want to make your mark. So I think it's always a good question to ask yourself. What would you, in 5 years' time, when you're not in a business, what would you people say? Oh, they were X, Y, and Z. Is a great way of saying these are the assets you bring to a business.
So you're looking at yourself as others see you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's quite a clever way of working out where you add value.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, I'm going to go away and think about that.
Oh, right. You must let me know.
I will. But not here today.
Yeah.
Because
on the spot. Yeah, no, I'm not going to put you on the spot. Ooh. Yeah.
I was going to ask you yours, but maybe.
Yeah, well, I've done one. I'm always thinking about people. I've always, been a passionate developer of people and teams. I love product and design.
Yes.
And I think positivity. I love my alliterations and P's there. Oh, but yes. I do think whether it's passion or positivity, I know in a team, I'll always bring that into a room, and it is an asset. It's an odd thing, to say it's an asset, but it is, because I think it's something that will actually keep people feeling upbeat. I'm not saying that I'm not aware of risks and things, but I think to actually bring passion and positivity does win others over as well.
Absolutely. And I think, and that one of the things that's what I noticed about you when I first met you, you're always smiling, you're open, you use open language. And, you know, I asked you, and okay, you don't live in London actually, but you spend a lot of time in London. And I asked you to be on my live lounge, and you didn't know what it was, and you said yes. And I said it would be great if you could come to my office, and we could do it in person. And you just said yes straight away.
Yes.
And I thought that's such a lovely, positive attitude. That is obviously something, a mantra that you've had throughout your life, which is why you've been such a success.
I think one of my first jobs was working with George Davis, who is the founder of Next. Then he founded Georgia Astor and went on to found Peruna at M&S as well. And he always said to me, Fiona, there's no such word as can't. Now, I think there clearly is. But my version of that is always to be like water. So you will always find a way to do things. So you'll either flow around the obstacles, or you'll drive a path gently wearing away the obstacle, actually. So yeah, I think being open to experiences and finding a way to get to the end, yeah, hopefully that is a strength, actually. It's an openness to challenges or experiences, because they'll always make you grow. And little did I realize I'd end up here on your purple sofa when I said yes. But
and
here I am.
And we're having a very jolly time.
Yeah.
And it's great to have you here. Thank you for coming. So you, in your roles, so you worked in retail for many years. Obviously, you talked about George, and you were at Jaeger and various other places. You must have encountered all kinds of biases in the boardroom.
Yeah, I think that, isn't it sad, isn't it? You're typical, you know, you don't remember the good things people say, you remember the bad. And it's interesting talking about passion and positivity. I remember somebody saying, and I heard it because they actually said it behind my back, and it came to me, that I was too emotional to make rational decisions. And gosh, that cut deep. And it was, of course, it was a much more operational. It was an operational guy who said it, who probably, yes, I know I'm more colourful, literally and physically, you know, and I'll use passionate language, but it doesn't mean I'm irrational. And you know, that's the sort of bias, I think, unfortunately, if you demonstrate certain traits, you get judged by them, rather than, you know, I suppose it's, you know, similar to not wanting to be judged by your age. You know, I've had to, I suppose, I guess, learn in different meetings in different company how to, whether it's change my language or absolutely ensure I've got all the data or all the facts to complement the fact that I am someone who is very passionate and you know, positive and colourful, but I do know I make sure I've got all of the data, etc., to combat any negativity you might get around that.
That's really interesting, actually, because one of my mantras, if you like, one of the things that I believe in is that learning should be fun. And I work with big corporates, and I'll go in there and with my purple and my orange, and we'll play bingo and we'll have fun. But boy, they will learn. They really, really will learn. But I found it difficult, and I do still find it difficult to get into certain organisations because they see me as this sort of fun, jolly, lightweight thing. And I think that's a female thing. I do think, and I think if a man is fun or funny, they can still be taken seriously. Whereas I think women, it's a more difficult challenge.
Seen as more fluffy.
Yes.
Yeah. As I said, you know, that's sadly that quote stuck with me, which is a shame, but it probably does show a bias. And I've had to change my behaviour accordingly, but you probably have as well.
I do.
You know, so well, if we're not adaptable, then are we?
Absolutely, I like that.
Yeah,
we're definitely adaptable. Well, if anybody's got any questions for Fiona, do throw them in now, because we only have a little short time left. I'm always amazed at how quickly these interviews go. Incredible. I do have to touch on LinkedIn, obviously, because that's the premise of this show. Kind of is LinkedIn. And you talked about, you actually think that one post which was on LinkedIn is the pivotal moment in your new career.
I do. I wouldn't be here if I didn't think. I do think LinkedIn is an incredibly powerful tool, whether it's you're a business or a person, that a lot of people don't realize. And I spend a lot of my time talking to, founder businesses or female leaders to say, you've got to understand the power of this actually in developing your personal brand, and getting over those qualities, whether it is your leadership qualities or your abilities. And I find it sometimes frustrating that people think it's showing off. And I think people have got to get over that. It is in a way of showcasing your skills, your personal values. And if you're a young business, I think getting the message out there and finding engaging ways of doing it. I think there is a morass of very average posts, and that's why you're doing obviously such a fabulous job, why people need you. But what I find is, because I'm very authentic and I don't necessarily post the same as everybody else, and whatever I do hopefully has a purpose to it and I am saying something, so it's not just something that's quite bland, that it does get a lot of engagement. And I'd advocate anybody else doing the same. It's a great way of getting your personal values, your personal brand, or your business over. But it has to be done in an authentic and engaging way. And as I said, I think, I've had a long career. I think people were very curious as to what I was doing next. So I actually let the people know about that when the article came out and said, you all wanted to know what I was doing next. This was it. I suddenly, got very, very fit. And as I said, I'm sure it went viral because the number of people who clicked through the article out of sheer nosiness to hear about what I was doing.
That's incredible. It may not have been nosiness in a negative sense.
Oh no, and I didn't
but
mean
just that they're interested in who you are.
Yeah.
And of course, when a post starts to get lots of traction, the algorithm goes, hello. What's going on here?
Good to know.
This is a good one. We best push it out to more people.
Yeah.
This is something that people want to read. And people talk about LinkedIn algorithm as this big scary thing, but actually a lot of it is what I consider to be common sense. What LinkedIn wants is for people to read the stuff that is being put out on their own platform. So if something is getting a lot of engagement and a lot of traction, then it makes sense that they want more people to see that because it's obviously successful. So if a post does get a lot of engagement, then the algorithm picks that up and goes, right, okay, well, let's push this out to more people. And I actually wrote a blog, oh my gosh, I don't know, 5 years ago or something, about the algorithm being like a washing machine. So you put your post in and it goes round to a very small section of your audience. And if it gets a lot of engagement on that first go round, it goes round again. And if it gets engagement second time round, it goes round again. And this keeps on happening.
Okay.
And that's why you'll see that people are engaging on your posts weeks after you've posted them, because they're still kind of floating around LinkedIn. And when I first, I'd sort of heard about this, so I wrote this whole thing. But what I noticed when I first started posting on LinkedIn, it was just my first degree connections that were commenting and liking. And then it became my second degree. But now I have people who are in my 3rd+ degree network who are seeing my posts because they are being pushed out to more people.
Yes.
And that's where I know that's a good post, because the algorithm sees it as a good post. It's getting lots of traction. Let's put it out to more people.
Well, I mean, one of the many things, I love continuing to learn. And I do think that does keep you from aging, I just think keeping your brain going, but actually, continually learning. And I think whether it is, social media, I'm now, on Instagram and on Facebook, on Fiona Lambert Official, if you're interested. But I'm actually quite enjoying the challenges of, what works on, different social media. And in fact, LinkedIn is the same. It is about engagement. It is about getting your story or your brand or your the information you want to push to people over, and how you do it in an engaging way. And it is very different across all the different platforms. But LinkedIn, I've had posts that have reached 90,000 views, which is huge. So but it is because hopefully it's something engaging and interesting for people to read. And it's as I said, it's the same whether it's Instagram or Facebook. You've got to again know the audience and the people you're talking to, and hopefully make it interesting for them.
Absolutely, yeah. Knowing your audience is key, and I think knowing your audience and having a strong brand are two very, very key things. And obviously, there's the whole authenticity piece and being yourself. And people are very nervous about being themselves on LinkedIn. And in fact, I saw a post just before you turned up on my doorstep that I will comment on later. Was one of my connections said, I came onto LinkedIn after a long period of not being here, and it looks like Facebook. And I don't know, because I haven't read through the rest of the comment, whether that's a negative comment or a positive one. I imagine he's talking that it's a negative asset. But I love the fact that now on LinkedIn we can talk about our raw stuff and our real stuff. And I think it is a wonderful platform for everybody, obviously.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest changes I know from having used LinkedIn for a long time is how visual it's become. And I think maybe that's the reference to Facebook. And I think the reality is the more colourful posts, whether it's photographs or videos, etc. I think people have become accustomed to seeing those. So a post that doesn't have a photograph attached now, it probably doesn't get as much traction.
It struggles.
It struggles, yeah. So I think maybe that's why it seems a little bit more like Facebook. It's become much more visual.
Perhaps that's what they mean. Can't wait to go and find out now. So we are actually slightly over time, but hey, it's our life. We can do what we like.
Exactly,
Fiona.
yeah.
I am going to ask you, women in business, and that's who you work with, as you coach them, you help them create their brand and create visibility and give them the confidence. What 3 tips would you share with women who are listening to this or watching this to help them see themselves in a slightly different way and perhaps give them a little bit of confidence to maybe take another step forward and move towards their goals? Have you got 2 or 3 or 1?
Well,
whatever.
The first one actually, and this is actually not just in business, is not to compare yourself, because I spent a long time at the beginning of my career comparing myself as a leader to mostly male bosses who I worked for, who had completely different skill sets, and thinking, well, I'm not, I've got a financial background or an operational background, and the thought I'd need to be some kind of generalist or have that background in order to be a leader, and finding out my own personal strengths through Strength Finder, and actually recognizing that I could dial those up and be supported in other areas was a huge step change for me in confidence. So my first thing would be don't compare yourself, understand your strengths. And I do think that's applicable to lots of things in your life, though, whether it is how fit you are or the shape you are, so I'd love to have long luscious hair, but I haven't, so I have to accept what I am and not compare myself. What else? I think I would go that thing about then build on your own confidence. So this thing, whether it is actually going out on LinkedIn or put yourself out your comfort zone and going for those jobs you think might be too big for you. I've been very fortunate. I've worked often for people who've either promoted me earlier than you might have, or they've seen potential in me and put me into roles that maybe they would have been a bit scary, but actually I thought, if they believe in me, and actually I think that is a role as a leader you should take. You should spot people with the talent and give them the opportunities and convince them they should do them. So I do think pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to take those leaps, I would urge other people to do that, because there's always going to be people, support network around you. And as I said, I've promoted people earlier and said, if I wouldn't ask you to do this unless I believe you could do it, and I will support you. And as I said, as a leader, I think that's really important you do that. And I'd say actually don't worry about having those feminine traits. Actually, be fun, embrace it, because it doesn't, it doesn't have to hold you back. Actually, you can use those, embrace it absolutely. At the end of the day, it hasn't held me back by being too passionate, and I'm definitely not too emotional to take irrational decisions. So I've embraced who I am and got had a very fabulous career, and I will continue to embrace actually who I am, whether it is climbing Kilimanjaro, writing a book, or having done pole dancing. I think the next thing might be burlesque, who knows.
You might get less bruises that way.
exactly yeah. I'll find a new challenge.
Amazing. What have I got? So Kim sent a message. Could you share a link to the post? Yes, to the post that you went, that made you go viral.
Okay,
yeah,
I can do.
Yeah, great. So 3 tips. What were they? Let me recap. Don't compare.
Be more confident.
Push yourself
and embrace being a woman.
Embrace your femininity.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. So Fiona, where, for the audience today and who are listening, where's the best place to find you?
So, clearly LinkedIn, but I'm on Fiona Lambert Official on both Instagram and Facebook. So I use post on Instagram every day, whether it is fitness, fashion, or positivity, actually. So if you're interested, take a follow.
Amazing. And the book
will come out in August.
Are we allowed to reveal the title at this stage or no?
I'm just going to keep that under wraps for
I
now.
like that.
Yeah. I've got to be a woman of mystery.
Yeah. Fiona Lambert, woman of mystery, woman of achievement and positivity. Yeah. Thank you so much for being on my live lounge. Actually, in person.
No, thank you. It's been a real pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. I'm going to play us out with our little music, and we're going to do a little. Should we do a little dance?
More dancing.
I think a little dance.